Perfect. Welcome to Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. Why don't we all go ahead and stand on up and sing our opening song together.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Good morning. It's wonderful to see you all here, and welcome to you, all of you, those online, wherever it is you may be watching. Genesis is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, and creating connections to empower spiritual growth. And we love that you are here to share that with us. My name is Anna Hawthorne, and I will be your host this morning. Our online host today is Eric. If this is your first time watching online, please comment on how you found Genesis. We'd love to find out and love to meet you. So now let's go ahead and read our mission and vision statement together. Our mission. We are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe place of comfort and peace where all are welcome and accepted. And then our vision. Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love, accepting all. A home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. That feels so good. So now we're going to go ahead and go through some announcements. And we'd like to make sure everybody knows that coming soon, our winter class that we're facilitating is offered by Cynthia Zink, and it's Power of Your Word. This will begin on January 18th and last through March 7th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. via Zoom. This experiential course teaches the fundamentals of prayer. Registration is now open online visit our website at genesiscsl.org or click on Learning Opportunities and sign up. For more information, I think we have flyers available, so if you're here, grab one on your way out. And then as we approach the final stretch of this year, there's still time to reflect on your pledges. And pledges are really critical to support our spiritual center. It's a blessing to be able to give to that place that gives you, that opportunity to grow and open up ever more. At Genesis Center for Spiritual Living, we encourage you to think about contributing. Our continued growth and well-being of At Genesis, our continued growth and well-being by recommitting to a pledge into the years to come, again, helps us achieve all of those goals of being here and being a really solid community in the Burien area, which we're so grateful to be back here at our home. Book study will meet after service and community connection. And then Wednesdays, we're still doing intention circles from 7 to 8 p.m. via Zoom. Karen Williams and Cynthia Zink will be leading the intention circles. And those are going through the end of this year, is that correct? Definitely. And then we will see where we go with our Wednesdays. The Science of Mind textbook in a year, Karen Williams, practitioner, is following a guide to read the entire Science of Mind textbook in 1 year. Every day you'll find posted on her Facebook page, Karen L. Williams, RSCP, and Genesis family page. Follow along to get all of Ernest Holmes' teachings. And as Karen has said before, even if you haven't, been following along all year, you can jump in at any time and get a good reading for Ernest Holmes. I mean, it's not specific that you have to do the whole thing in a year, so just jump on in. Up front for everybody are these wonderful new business cards. I don't know if you can see them online, but they are just beautiful. And so feel free to grab one and, share them with your friends, your families. They're on the welcome table, so if you're here, that's great. And then we also have on the welcome table these beautiful stickers, and you can, put them on a car if you'd like, a water bottle if you'd like, a folder if you'd like. But these are up there, and it's our learning symbol, so they're very beautiful, iridescent, and great stocking stuffer ideas for those of you wanting to, pass on a little Science of Mind to those you love. Donation suggested is $5 for those. $2. Okay, $2 to $5. We're an abundant universe, and whatever you feel you're wanting to donate would be wonderful. I'd like to take this time to really pay gratitude to our volunteers, because we can't do this without a tribe. It takes a village, and I really want to take time to appreciate the volunteers before we get into our meet and greet. So as we go along, we can give them extra gratitude for what they do this Sunday and every Sunday. Setup cleanup crew, we've got Cal, Gideon, and Eric. Morning greeters, we've got Cynthia and Rose. Projector and video, we've got Mike and Eric. Offering collections is Gideon. Sound tech this morning is Cal. Online host this morning is Eric. Again, so if you haven't said hi and you're online, please do. Service practitioner is Karen Williams. And musicians are Chris Sullivan and Christine S. And so now, let's go ahead and have a little bit of music and do our favorite part of the service and stand on up and meet and greet each other and say thank you for all you do.
Hi. This morning.
a good friend.
But she's intending to be she's a genuine mother.
All right, let's find our way back to our seats.
12 different thoughts.
Wow.
No, it's challenging to
We're all of us much around.
pull away from that wonderful connection time. So it makes being here in person such a great opportunity. Get to say hello to your neighbor. All righty. Well, we kind of skipped first-time guests, but from what I understand, there is nobody online, and everybody in the house is friends and family. So we're all just here honoring each other, which is a good way to spend a Sunday morning. I do also want to mention in the announcement side, or actually the gratitude side, that snacks this morning were donated by the Supper Club, which is one of our care circle groups. So let's appreciate the Supper Club for their donations, and remember to stick around after service and partake in some fellowship and some nummy treats. So we'd like to go ahead and introduce again our practitioner today. Again, our practitioner is Karen Williams, and she'll be available after service, like always, if you would like a little bit of a prayer, you know, maybe. Wow, I've got an echo. That was fun. So anyway, stick around if you're wanting a little prayer, if something's going on, or if you just want some more good in your life and you want Karen to touch on that, so she'll be available. So now let's go ahead and move into our centering song, Stand and Sing, Breathe and Turn Within. Or you can stay seated, whichever you prefer. Whichever.
I open up my heart and feel God's presence.
My name is Karen Williams. I'm a practitioner here at Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. And I'm going to do a reading this morning from our book, our community book that we're reading together on Sundays, The Universal Christ by Richard Rohr. And then we're going to move right into prayer. So this is an invitation to really just settle in right now. And if you would like, close your eyes and we're going to take it all in. Evolutionists do not have to be enemies. The evolutionists rightly want to say the universe is unfolding, while believers rightly insist on the personal meaning of that unfolding. We give the phenomenon of life and matter a positive and certain we call resurrection, while also accounting for lots of suffering and death along the way, which we call fiction. That is indeed a momentous and grand vision, and it explains a lot, but it also carries so much extra baggage that I can see why rational and scientific-minded folks should resist it. Yet to believe that Jesus was raised from the dead is actually not a leap of faith. Resurrection and renewal are, in fact, the universal and observable pattern of everything. We might just as well use non-religious terms like springtime, regeneration, healing, forgiveness, life cycle, darkness, and light. If incarnation is real, then resurrection in multitudinous forms is to be fully expected. Or to paraphrase that earlier statement attributed to Albert Einstein, it is not that one thing is a miracle, that the whole thing is a miracle. This point is worth sitting with for a few moments. Time you take in a breath, you are repeating the pattern of taking spirit into matter, and thus repeating the first creation of Adam. And every time you breathe out, you are repeating the pattern of returning spirit to the material universe. I'm going to read that again. Every time you take in a breath, you are repeating the pattern of taking spirit into matter, and thus repeating the first creation of Adam. And every time you breathe out, you are repeating the pattern of returning spirit to the material universe. In a way, every exhalation is a little dying as we pay the price of inspiring the world. Your simple breathing models your entire vocation as a human being. You are an incarnation, like Christ, of matter and spirit operating as one. This, more than anything we believe or accomplish, is how all of us continue the mystery of incarnation in space and time, either knowingly and joyfully or not. If divine incarnation has any truth to it, then resurrection is a foregone conclusion and not a one-time anomaly in the body of Jesus, as our Western understanding of the resurrection felt it needed to prove, and then it couldn't. The risen Christ is not a one-time miracle, but the revelation of a universal pattern that is hard to see in the short run. The job for believers is to figure out not the how or the when of resurrection, but just the what. Leave the how and the when to science and to God. True Christianity and true science are both transformational worldviews that place growth and development at their centers. Both endeavors, each in their own way, cooperate with some divine plan, and whether God is formally acknowledged may not be that important. As Carl Jung inscribed over his doorway, vocatus anque non vactatus Deus aderte, invoked or not invoked, God is still present. God has worked anonymously since the very beginning. It has always been here, inside and secret. It has always been an inside and secret sort of job. The Spirit seems to work best underground. When above ground, humans start fighting about it. You can call this grace, the indwelling Holy Spirit, or just evolution toward union, which we call love. God is not in competition with anybody, but only in deep time cooperation with everybody who loves. Whenever we place one caring foot forward, God uses it, sustains it, and blesses it. Our impulse does not need to wear the name of religion at all. Love is the energy that sustains the universe, moving us toward a future of resurrection. We do not even need to call it love or God or resurrection for its work to be done. And so acknowledging that love, that God presence, that creative spirit that is the breath of all life. It is the breath of all being. It is the evolutionary movement of life itself is breath. It is my breath. It is the breath of all beings everywhere. And we inspire each other. We live for and as each other. There's no separation between the cosmos, the stars, the planets, nature, and human beings. We breathe it all. It is us. I have a relationship, a divine and deep and holy relationship with all that is. And I know that this holy relationship lives as a light at the center of all beings everywhere. No matter what is being experienced in any moment in time, that divine light, that holy inspiration, that breath is present in every being, no exceptions. The good, the bad, the ugly, the profane, the sacred, the beautiful, the joyous, the peaceful. I proclaim it, I know it, I accept it, I live it. And so in this moment, I give thanks for how we express it, how we as Genesis, how we as a collective contribute to this, how we inspire spirit, and how we expire spirit, how we give and how we receive and how we give. That relationship. I'm so grateful that I could be here and express this and be part of a community that says yes to this very idea. It gives energy and healing and wholeness and love to a planet, to a world that desperately needs it. I am the change that I want to see in the world. I know that is true for all of us as we take in the gift that is Reverend James's offering, his ministry, his spoken word this morning, and the gift that we receive and share that Christine S. and Chris Sullivan allow themselves to be a conduit for that healing and that love. I'm grateful for it all. I bless it. And know that this service is a continuation of that energy out into infinity and eternity. And so it is. Please welcome back Chris Sullivan.
Got a nice job at an office on the 7th floor. But you're looking out the window and you're thinking that there's something more. Clear your head, close your eyes. Something deep inside you cries, let's go, let's go. talk, no they should. Say something ain't right in the neighborhood. Let's go to the great unknown. Find the one that rolled away the stone. Let's go to the foreign shore. Find a way to give like we never gave before. Let's go far and wide. Pack your bags and leave it all behind. What are we waiting for? Let's go.
Thank you so much. That's so amazing.
Yes.
We're so blessed for the wonderful music and musicians we have here.
It's true.
Oh, today we are going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about inspiration. The subject of today's talk, we have several subjects. One is, but it's all framed around It's a Wonderful Life, which is the #1 most inspirational movie of all time. And so I know how much to fill you guys in, how many people have seen It's a Wonderful Life, like ever? Okay, has anybody never seen it? Okay, so, oh, you've never seen it? No, I've seen it.
Okay. Come on.
Okay. So, but I'll still fill you in. I have some dialogue written down to make particular points. But it starts off with George Bailey. Jimmy Stewart plays George Bailey, and George Bailey is named after St. George, the patron saint of England, George the Dragon Slayer. I know we've got a couple of dragons. Bart and Chris Sullivan are both Bart has his dragon pin on today. And I should say, so not only is George a dragon slayer, but I think he has powerful dragons. Dragons have lots of different meanings. The meaning with George the Dragon Slayer, there was a dragon who went and attacked villages, stole their wealth and their princesses. And George would come into the dragon's lair and slay it so that everything would be back to normal. But in Asian traditions, dragons are more about prosperity and wealth. And so if you had a dragon in your neighborhood, that was a good thing. That indicated that you were prosperous. And the dragon would be your guardian spirit. It would protect you. In South Asia, in Southeast Asia and India, dragons were creator spirits. And so the multiple-headed, last week we talked about a 7-headed dragon in the book of Revelation, Revelation 12. If that dragon were from India, that would be a creator god that was creating a community, creating a life, creating something beautiful. And I think we see all of these in It's a Wonderful Life. The #1 most inspirational movie. So to inspire, I mean, it has lots of meanings. It means to inhale. And back in the day, it meant to inhale spirit. You would talk, in fact, Christine S. and Richard Rohr talked about inhaling, take in spirit into matter. So to inhale is to take spirit into matter. It also means to increase positive feelings, to increase motivation, and to increase creativity. And we'll see all of those aspects of inspiration in the movie. The monthly theme is about being one with the divine and with our fellow beings. So we have an affirmation I'm going to say, and then we can repeat it. I am one with the divine and with my fellow beings. Together, I am one with the divine and with my fellow beings. One more time. I am one with the divine and with my fellow beings. And we'll see that when our heroes are one with the divine and with their fellow beings, they're really in a beautiful, creative, prosperous place, and things are going. And when they forget either part of it, sometimes they forget that they are part of the divine and they feel like something's wrong with them. Sometimes they feel like, I'm part of the divine, but you people aren't. That doesn't work out too well either. This is where you get hungry ghosts as another archetypal concept of somebody who just craves and craves things, but no matter how much you get, it's never enough. You're always unsatisfied. So lots of stuff, but I swear it ties together.
Okay.
So Diana Butler Bass wrote in her book, Grounded, Finding God, when we recognize our common humanity, when we recognize our own humanity in the face of the other, we also recognize the face of God. There is a vision of love and wholeness deep within us, an intuitive sense of our oneness with God and with each other. And so this is why I love it that we get to come together on Sundays and for classes is when we see God in each other, we get to reinforce it in ourselves. And then as we reinforce it in ourselves, we see it in each other. And it's a virtual cycle going of reinforcing the divinity in each other. The first character, so the movie It's a Wonderful Life takes place in Bedford Falls. And I'm not quite sure where Bedford Falls is. I take it it's in the Northeast because there's snow in the winter.
That's right.
And there's some stuff that's sort of cute and old-timey there. They have in the bank, Bailey Buildings and Loan, Savings and Loan, they have a crow that's the pet crow living in the bank. And this is something that was, actually, it's illegal right now to have a crow for a pet, but for hundreds of years, from before the revolution in America, really from the 1600s all the way up into the 1930s, crows were like normal things people would have for pets, and they would hang around their house just like some people have parrots and parakeets. Uncle Billy also, when it shows his house, he has a squirrel for a pet. And similarly, people used to have squirrels like they have guinea pigs or hamsters.
Wow.
So when we see the crow, when we see the squirrels, we know that we're living. It's sort of in fable time. It's in a time before time. It's sort of timeless tale. Our first character we've got is George Bailey, George the Dragon Slayer, and the whole movie starts when people are praying for George because he's had a crisis of faith, where he doesn't see the divinity in himself or anybody, and he just wants off. He wants away, and people pray for him, and that's one of the inspirations for this. Is you really get to see the power of prayer. When properly done, which it is in the movie. George's father is Peter Bailey. Now Peter, where do we know this name from? Peter is Greek for rock. And Jesus renamed one of his apostles Simon Peter because he says, "You are the rock on which I build my church." And and the gates of hell shall not overturn this. And so we'll see this. Peter Bailey founded Bailey Savings and Loan, which is the, it gives everybody in town the opportunity to borrow money so they can own their beautiful little homes, so they can start businesses, they can have a little extra liquidity when they need it. They don't charge them too much interest, but they make sure they get repaid because everybody's family. They see the good in everybody. They're providing a public service. And then Mary, at the beginning, she's Mary Hatch. Seems like she's going to hatch and sort of blossom. She becomes Mary Bailey eventually. And she has the same name as Mother Mary. She is full of compassion. Her intuition is always on target. She always knows the right thing to do. And she is a manifester. If she prays for something, it's going to happen. So you watch, Mary is George Bailey's genie in a bottle.
Nice.
All he has to rub the lamp and poof. So he doesn't realize it. He thinks he's doing it all himself, but you can really see.
Huh.
Uncle Billy is a good-hearted goofball. And it's interesting. He really represents that part of ourselves that's always trying, always eager, trying too hard, and it didn't work again. And you know, we have that. We see that happening. I also see Uncle Billy. When I most recently watched it, I'm like, man, he needs a 12-step program. Uncle Billy, stop drinking. They did have, I looked it up, Alcoholics Anonymous was a thing in 1947 when they made the movie. But that wasn't the message of the movie.
Right.
The message, it really focuses on George. And I like to think that Uncle Billy went and signed up for AA right after the closing credits.
That's
Said,
great.
I'm done with this drinking. There's some hint that he's self-medicating because in the world without George Bailey, he ends up in a they call it an insane asylum, and that's not the right word for it, but it is. He basically needs psychiatric help and ends up committing himself to an institution that will keep him safe. Probably the big thing it did was kept him away from alcohol. There is our hungry ghost. There's Mr. Potter. It's interesting. It portrays a complete villain, and he's sort of a hungry ghost. He's very rich, and all he wants to do is get richer. And he sees the people of the town as being ne'er-do-wells and not worthy of his charity, of his goodness. But he's willing to sell them stuff at the department store and to make rental houses, which George Bailey refers to as shacks and refers to the rent as exorbitant.
All right.
But he is participating in the town. He's putting money into it. He's helping it happen. He's on the board of Bailey's Savings and Loan. There are three crises. Really, the first crisis in our I should say that when George is a child, he ends up saving his brother Harry from drowning in a hole in the ice, and he also saves the druggist, Mr. Gower, from accidentally poisoning somebody with a prescription that he put together wrong. And so this is some of his heroic activities. With his brother, he dived into the icy pond without thought of his own safety. And the same with Mr. Gower. Mr. Gower was also drinking too much when he was putting together his prescriptions. and George Bailey was willing to stand up to that, even though Mr. Gower was physically attacking him. So this shows his sort of bravery and ability to do what happens, which is something we all have. You know, we have aspects of ourselves. We've got our guardian aspect that's looking out for us and making sure everything's safe. We've got our doing self that makes sure, it makes plans, makes sure the future's coming, makes sure we've got the right things going. We've got our passionate self that lives outside of time and makes the world a beautiful place, sees the world as a place of love and creativity. And we've got our inner Buddha that knows, you know, what's right in the world and knows that we're all interconnected. When George graduates from high school, he wants to go off to college, and he is actually getting ready to go off to college. He already has the train ticket, and he says, I am shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm going to see the world. Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum. Then I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to build things. I'm going to build airfields. I'm going to build skyscrapers 100 stories tall. I'm going to build bridges a mile long. But he finds out on his way to the train station that his father has died. And so he has to give up his summer vacation, and in the end give up university in order to run Bailey Savings and Loan, because the most important thing is to save it. You know, this is the rock, and not the gates of hell shall break it. But he hopes when he's so he uses his college fund to send his brother to college. And he stays home. When his brother comes home from college, he's hoping that his brother is going to take over the business, but it turns out his brother's found a wife and a job in a different state. And so that ends up not happening. He has a scene with Mary, which actually sort of shows his situation. This is when, you know, before he and Mary are engaged, and Sam Wainwright calls, his going to be very wealthy high school friend, and says, look, I want you to get in plastics. I want you in on the ground floor. You know, I want to let you in on this, so you can, because I know you're good, and I know that you can make this work. And George Bailey says, now you listen to me. I don't want any plastics. I don't want any ground floors, and I don't want to get married ever to anybody. You understand that? I want to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So there's a part of us that just wants to do what we want to do. Everybody wants to tell us what to do. And there's a part that just wants to do what we want to do. Mm-hmm. Of course, right after that, he and Mary hug and kiss, and then suddenly they're married. And they're off on their honeymoon. And it shows Mary has a thick wad of $100 bills. It actually turns out to be $2,000, which in 1947, in today's money, that's more like $40,000. Because they didn't have credit cards in the day, that's how you'd go on an expensive honeymoon, is by bringing a wad of cash. And Mary says, I feel like a bootlegger's wife, and she spreads out all the money. And George says, you know what we're going to do? We're going to shoot the works. A week in New York, a week in Bermuda, the highest hotels, the oldest champagne, the richest caviar, the hottest music, the prettiest wife. But on his way to the airport,
Again.
There's a run on the bank. And they end up going into the bank, and George tries to talk people into keeping their money in the bank. And George does have what we were saying, I am one with the divine and with my fellow beings. And he sees the divinity in his fellow beings. And he's trying to get them to see the divinity in him and the institution. No, you're thinking of this place all wrong, as if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here. Your money's in Joe's house, right next to yours, and the Kennedy house, and Miss Macklin's house, and 100 others. Well, you're lending the money to build, and then they're going to pay it back to you the best they can. Now, what are you going to do? Foreclose on them? Now, wait. Now, listen. I beg you not to do this thing. If Potter gets a hold of this building and loan, there'll never be another decent house built in this town. He's already got charge of the bank. He's got the department stores, and now he's after us. Why? It's very simple. Because we're cutting in on his business. That's why. And because he wants to keep you living in the slums and paying the kind of rent he decides. Joe, you lived in one of his houses, didn't you? Have you forgotten what he charged for that broken down shack? Now, we can get through this thing all right. We've got to stick together, though. We've got to have faith in one another. Well, man says, how am I going to live until the bank opens? I got doctor bills to pay. I can't feed my kids on faith. And then Mary, who always comes to the rescue, how much do you need? And she pulls out the $2,000. And then George says, here's $2,000. This will tide us over until the bank reopens. All right, Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Davis says, could I have $1,750? Bless your heart, of course you can have it. And when they close down, they have $2 left, so they give out $1,998. They hope the $2 will somehow reproduce so they'll have enough money to go back in business. And after the bank closes, Mary is long gone, and George says, where's my wife? And they have a taxi cab that brings him to the old Granville place. The old Granville place is a haunted house that kids used to throw stones at, and if you broke a window, your wish would come true. And Mary was there with George one day, threw a stone and broke the window. And her dream was that she'd be married to George. They'd have lots of kids in the old Granville place. In this case, they go into the wrecked old Granville place. And Bert and Ernie, Bert's a police officer and Ernie's the taxi driver, but probably more well known are the Sesame Street characters, Bert and Ernie, who have the same personalities, if not the same vocations. And they sing I Love You Truly as they have their honeymoon in the old Granville Manor. Then they end up having 4 children, the first one named Peter after Dad, then Janie, Thomas, and little Zuzu. And interestingly, of all the people who acted and who took part in the movie, little Zuzu is the only one left. She was 5 at the time, and she's 83 now. But she wrote her autobiography not that long ago, and that's where I got a lot of the inside information. She was on a nationwide tour, and so I got to actually meet Zuzu, who's aged very well. So 4 kids: Pete, Janie, Tommy, Zuzu. And George builds Bailey Park, and Bailey Park is a beautiful place where everybody has a home, which he finances, and so he's got nice homes in a nice neighborhood, and it shows a family, an Italian immigrant family, the Martinis, moving into the home. It's interesting because it's so stereotypically, to me, it was an offensive stereotypes of Italians, but it was Frank Capra describing his birth family, and so it isn't cultural appropriation when you're just describing your childhood. So they had lots of little kids, lots of old people, a giant family trying to cram into the car, and of course the goat has to come too. So they drive the goat and a car full of people, and everybody's excited. Mary gives them a loaf of bread and says, bread that you may never know hunger, and salt that your life may have flavor. And George grabs a bottle of wine, and wine that your life will be filled with joy and laughter. And so this is sort of the positive side of it. But something happens. Hedonic adaptation. hedonic adaptation, you're very happy with something, you're very happy with your life, but as time goes on, this thing that made you very happy a few years ago makes you less and less happy, and you get bored with it and you get tired of it. And so it's, Mr. Potter tries to hire him for, what would be $400,000 a year in today's money. But George Bailey turns it down because he knows that this is the price he wanted to pay to shut down Bailey Savings and Loans so that he could get everybody to live in slums and pay too much rent. And then the crisis comes, the crisis we began the movie with. Uncle Billy, drunk early in the morning. Sorry, Uncle Billy. Uncle Billy is a flibbertigibbet. And he is going to deposit $8,000, which is $160,000 in today's money. And he accidentally hands the wallet, hands the envelope with the cash to Mr. Potter.
Yeah.
If Mr. Potter were ethical, he would have given it back. But no, he's not. So they, and this is happening simultaneously while there's a bank examiner who's looking at what's happening in the bank. And so you see George Bailey losing it. He tries to borrow money from Mr. Potter, but Mr. Potter swears out a warrant for his arrest for misappropriation of funds. And the bank examiner wants to shut down the bank. And nobody's happy. He loses the joy in his life. He starts screaming at his kids. He starts screaming at the kids' school teachers. He goes into the bar and starts drinking way too much, and then he goes drunk driving and smashes his car. And he's decided that he's worth more dead than alive because of a life insurance policy he has, and that's the way the payout works. But an angel comes to save him. And we know in the movie the angels come from heaven. We see angels, angels are people who are channeling the divine, and they will come into our lives. Quite often we are an angel in somebody else's life. And we often, I know lots of people have been angels in my life. This angel is Clarence, and as they say about him, he has the IQ of a rabbit.
Ouch.
But he knows he has a heart as big as all outdoors. And so he goes, and when George Bailey says, "I wish I'd never been born," Clarence says, "I can do that." And he creates a world where George Bailey's never been born. And he could see what the town would have been like without him. And it's interesting to think about what our lives would have been like without us. In his case, there's a city with no joy, no love. Nobody is seeing the divine. Nobody is in themselves or in anybody else. It's all about greed. It's all about the rat race. It's all about being a victim or victimizing others. It is really a hellish vision. We say that, heaven and hell are real, and I've experienced both in my life here on earth. And in this case, seeing the world, seeing, how his family falls apart without him there to save his brother or to save his parents and to save what would happen to the town if nobody were trusted, if everybody had to live in slums. And at some point he finally says, "Please God, let me live again." And he goes back and he's happy. He's like ecstatic about, seeing his car that he has smashed. He's ecstatic about, seeing the snow cover the roads. He comes into his house and he says, "Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail." Because he gets to go into jail in a life where his family is happy, where his family gets to live, where people see the divine in one another, people see the divine in themselves. This is what it takes. I was reading, do people know Adyashanti is a non-duality teacher who's written a bunch of books? He talked about a prison project he had where he was teaching non-duality to people in prison, and this one guy was on death row. And he was, when he was in the world, he lived in a very hellish world, and he made it even more hellish for other people. And he said, I feel more free in my cell here than I ever was outside. Outside, I was a hungry ghost. I had desires, I had reactions, everything was bad, and everything I did made it worse. And inside, with the knowledge of his divinity, with his seeing of his true self and the true self of others, he had peace, he had love. Now, we don't have to go to prison to see that. We can see it in our own lives, and he wishes he had. And then there's a happy ending, which everybody remembers. Mary didn't just pray for him. She went out to everybody in town to tell them George Bailey's in trouble, and everybody contributed what they could to see that George Bailey could get, it was 8,000, but really 160,000. 160,000 is a significant amount of money. For many of these people are living paycheck to paycheck, but yet they're willing, many hands make light work. When everybody's willing to pitch in, then we can create heaven on earth. And of course, his millionaire friend comes in and says, office has been advised to advance you up to 25,000, which is $500,000 in today's money. So that easily covered everything. But he had friends, and they say if you have friends, then your life has not been wasted. So he was going after the dragon, and I want to do a little Tai Chi around dragons. So we each have inner dragons, and we have a dragon that's a guardian, that's looking out for us. Sometimes our dragons can be greedy, but if we open our hearts to our dragons, they can keep us safe, and they can keep us prosperous, and they can keep us passionate, and they can create worlds. And so let's do the embrace dragon, return to mountaintop. So you can either stand or stay sitting. So let's embrace our inner dragon, prosperous and fierce, return to the mountaintop where we have never left. Let's embrace our dragon who's looking out for us and looking out for everybody else, and return to the mountaintop. One last time. Let's embrace our dragon, passionate and free, flying with like the wind. And let's return to the mountaintop where we always have been and where we never have to leave. Thank you. So I'm going to invite you to remember, let's say once again, I am one with the divine and with my fellow beings.
I am one with the divine and my fellow beings.
Again, I am one
with the divine and my fellow beings.
And we all can be inspired by George Bailey, by Mary Bailey, by knowing that if we listen with our hearts, then we really can know what to do, and our prayers are always answered. I'm going to jump into a segue for prayer. There's a prayer card where you can write down both a prayer and a demonstration. And I want to encourage you to especially write down any demonstrations you've had. If you've ever had or known of a prayer that came true, please write down the demonstration. What this does is it increases the power of prayer for you because it makes you more certain. It strengthens your faith because you have seen it happen. You know it happens. You know it's real. It's easy in the society we live in for people to say, yeah, prayer, what does that do? But it does. And so any kind of manifestation is going to help increase the power of your prayer in your life. And then if you have a prayer for if something is amiss or if you have something to celebrate or anything like that, then write it down. And Christine S., if you can give us some prayer writing music. So I think it's time for Chris to sing another song now. And I'm going to encourage you guys, empower your dragons. Empower, and whenever you see a dragon in your life, bless that dragon, because you know it's got freedom, it's got prosperity, and it can be good for everybody no matter what it thinks.
The gate is wide, the road is paved in moderation. The crowd is kind and quick to pull you in. Welcome to the middle ground, it's safe and sound, and until now it's where I've been. But it's been fear that ties me down to everything, but it's been love, your love, that cuts the strings. So long status quo, I think I just let go. You make me wanna be brave, the way it always was. So long good enough. You make me wanna be brave, I am small and I speak when I'm spoken to, but I am willing to risk it all. I say your name, just your name, and I'm ready to jump, even ready to fall. Why did I take this vow of compromise? Why did I try to keep it all inside? So long status quo, I think I just let go. You make me wanna be brave, the way it always was. No longer good enough. You make me wanna be brave, great. I wanna be great the way it always was. It's no longer good enough. You made me wanna be great. Brave,
That's Chris Sullivan, accompanied by Christine S. Young. So this is a time for our offering, an opportunity to give to the place that is, if not your major source of spiritual inspiration, at least one of them. So we know that our center is supported by God, and so this is an opportunity for you, for each of us, to show up as God in support of this center. You can text, or you can go to our website and donate there, or you can text it to 206-800-7595. Take a moment to make your financial offering. So if you feel like it, you can put your offering and your prayer close to your heart as we say our offering blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. Gideon's going to come around and collect our offerings while we sing God is my source. Just so.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
And so I acknowledge this process as an invocation, an inspiration of the law of reciprocity, the law of circulation. As we give, so shall we receive, blessed down, pressed down, overflowing, and multiplied into our lives. And so I give thanks for this, knowing that it is good and very good. So thank you for being here at Genesis today. We're wrapping it up, and please stay for some fellowship and some further inspiration. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for all of you on social. Have a great day. See you next week.